If you're watching this, then you survived the 3-inch snowstorm of December 2025. Hey, listen, it was something after a really dry fall, and a reminder of how many of our neighbors are pretty bad at winter driving compared to these folks.
It's like our #1 skill. That's what we're trained to do.
Colorado's Democrats are full of hopes and dreams about flipping congressional seats after last night's special election. We'll look at what's realistic and what's fantasy. The town of Kersey abruptly hits the brakes on $300 photo radar tickets, raising new questions about whether town leaders are following another law. And let's give some small food banks one last boost for the holiday season. 10 of them have agreed to work together rather than compete for donations. So tonight, let's give them a bunch, because this is next. Finally got a right proper snowing around here. At least 3 inches of snow from the metro area out to the eastern plains. Schools told kids to suck it up and slip and slide into school on time this morning. Up the hill in Genesee, it was more of an event. They got closer to 10 inches. Snow tapered off this afternoon, but the roads are going to be slippery as a politician tonight. So let's bring in meteorologist Kathy Sabin with a look at that.
The storm is hanging on, Kyle. There's still some light snow falling, but as you can see, the roads are pretty good. We have clear and cold conditions, and with temperatures expected to drop into the lower teens, it is going to be icy. The roads that were slushy are already beginning to ice up. After that, 10 inches in Genesee, 6 inches in Denver, Boulder and Arvada, anywhere from 7 to 9 inches. The ski resorts did okay, not great, but okay. 2 to 4 to 8 inches of snow from Wolf Creek to Vail down to Aspen. And you know what? The temperatures out there right now are already cold in the mid-20s. The snow is coming to an end from north to south. That drier air finally working in as advertised. Winter weather advisory for Denver canceling out as we speak. The heavy snow focuses on the southern mountains. Another 5 to 10 inches of snow with a winter storm warning there. So we clear out tonight. It's very cold. It's very icy. We get sunshine tomorrow, but I wouldn't call it a warm day at 39. And then we go into the 40s for Friday, Saturday, and the weekend. And if you've had it with this beautiful snow and shoveling, I've got 50s heading into the first part of next week. And this beautiful snow will be but a distant memory.
First snow of the season's always the same story on the roads, right? You got a third of the drivers flying like a bat out of hell, a third creeping along as if the snow is waist deep, and then there's the last third, us normal people just trying not to get into a wreck with either of them. Our Evan Krugel went looking for the best winter driver in the state to ask for ideas.
Coloradans love to say they know how to drive in the snow, but few have the control of Master Sergeant Scott Liska.
Actually, that was pretty cool.
Trooper Sherry Mendez joined Scott on a ride around State Patrol's training track in Golden.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Where troopers spend hours perfecting winter driving.
Get through this curve, and now we're in the snow. And keep on, this is what, good 6 inches up here?
Scott and Sherry know most people have to learn how to do this on a public track, where every winter troopers respond to the same problems.
Well, it's like a broken record, right? We see a lot of crashes, a lot of slide-offs, and that mostly is not because of the weather, it's because of driver actions.
Sherry doesn't like sounding like a broken record, but her advice is always the same.
You should slow down, slow down, slow down.
Scott says most crashes come because drivers run out of room, which is needed to avoid cars stopping in front of you, or maybe even a coyote darting out in front of your car.
On snowy roads, stopping distance is going to be a heck of a lot longer than on dry roads. You're not doing anything abrupt. Accelerating is nice and smooth. Steering is nice and smooth. Braking is smooth.
Skills these cadets in training will need to get around, no matter what Mother Nature brings.
We need to learn how to drive in any kind of weather. It's like our #1 skill. That's what we're trained to do.
So troopers say if you remember nothing else from this story, it's to slow down on days like today. They also, of course, recommend winter tires, extra following distance, and turning off cruise control when roads are slick. Kyle, all things they say they see all winter long, but especially on this first storm when the normal third is just trying to get around.
Just trying to get around without splattering a coyote on our grill. You know, that's all we're trying to do. Evan Krugel, thank you. Colorado's top election official is rejecting the Trump administration's demands to turn over personal information about Colorado's 4 million registered voters. Democratic Secretary of State Jenna Griswold says the Department of Justice came knocking Monday. The DOJ Civil Rights Division asked the state to turn over unredacted voter data, driver's license numbers, partial Social Security numbers. The DOJ says it is looking for ineligible voters and voter fraud. Griswold says her office has already shared publicly available data, names and addresses, and that the feds have been ignoring her questions about how this additional data will be used. Colorado is not the only state to reject this request, and the Trump administration is suing some of those other states. An unexpectedly close special election for Congress in Tennessee last night has Colorado Democrats salivating at the possibility of knocking off some of Colorado's 4 Republicans in Congress if there's a similar blue wave in 2026. Our Marshall Zellinger breaks down the numbers on what's realistic and what's Democrats just wish casting.
A special election in Tennessee saw the Democratic candidate lose by 9 points, and that led the Colorado Democratic Party to send out this fundraising email saying that result means Republican-held Colorado congressional seats are in play. The Tennessee special election was in a district that was plus 22 points for President Trump last year, but just plus 9 points for the Republican congressional candidate last night.
I think this is much more significant because it was a true midterm turnout. And it should terrify Republicans.
Andrew Bauman is a Democratic pollster, but he's also working for Jessica Killen, the Democratic candidate in Colorado's 5th congressional district. Republican Jeff Crank is the congressman from that district, which went plus 9 points for Trump last year.
You would think, a district that is Trump plus 9 would be very hard. But what we saw, last night was a Trump plus 22 district that switched to 13 points.
Of the 4 congressional seats held by Republicans in Colorado, only Crank in the 5th overperformed Trump on the ballot. Voters in the 5th picked Trump plus 9, but they picked Crank plus 14.
I just think 5 is still difficult, but I would not totally dismiss what Andrew Bauman is saying. I just think this early on is a little bit of a stretch.
David Flaherty does polling on issues these days, but he used to be a conservative-leaning pollster. He sees the potential for money flooding into the state for trying to flip red seats blue, but points to the toss-up 8th congressional district as the focus. Voters there picked Trump plus 2 and only plus 1 for Congressman Gabe Evans.
8's still where all the action is in our state.
The reddest district is the 4th, where Trump was plus 18 and Congresswoman Lauren Boebert was plus 12. Even Bauman thinks that's a stretch.
The bottom really is going to have to fall out for Democrats to be winning the 4th.
What's this mean for you? Political ads, political texts, sorry. There will be a calculation by national groups of where to shovel their cash next year. Flaherty did tell me that if he's Crank, it might not hurt to say, hey, we might be at risk in this district that's always been red, because any national money might mean less fundraising he himself as a candidate might have to do.
That makes sense. Do you think Dem donors, though, are going to have the self-control to actually funnel money into more winnable races as opposed to just, they want to beat Lauren Boebert, so they're going to just throw money into a furnace?
Self-control and politics in the same sense. Here's what, again, Flaherty said his order would be 8. He might say 3 because Mesa County and the Grand Junction City Council has gone a little left lately. So 3 would be number 2 on his list. Then Congressional District 5 in El Paso County. And then way over here, you can't even see it on camera, would be Boebert's District 4.
All right, we shall see. Marshall Zellinger, thank you. For the last 6 weeks, your Word of Thanks microgiving campaigns have been feeding Coloradans in need, from Arapahoe County to Adams County to Boulder and Broomfield up to northern Colorado. You thought we forgot you, Jeffco, didn't you? We did not. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign supports Feeding Jeffco Together. It's a unique effort to support 10 mostly small food banks at once. This is a county-wide setup put together by the Jefferson County Food Policy Council. It's an opportunity for us here to be able to help some small community food banks that typically would be overwhelmed by your weekly generosity, like Be Golden and Calvary Food Shelf in Golden, Light of the World Food Pantry, Mean Street Ministry in Lakewood, Tin Shed in Wheat Ridge, Mountain Resource Center in the Foothills, and the Action Center in Lakewood. Feeding Jeffco Together is set up so that the larger the food pantry is, the larger the share of our donations they will receive. And all those funds, 100%, no overhead, will be used to purchase food for those pantries through Food Bank of the Rockies. Golden Pantry and Thrift told me that they are seeing a surge in need from working families struggling to keep up with the cost of living. Calvary is seeing double the visitors this time last year, and they've been worried about having to limit how much food that they can give people. Rather than go out and compete for limited donor dollars, these smaller food banks in Jeffco have decided to work together. Love that approach. So let's help them out. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491. We'll send you that link to donate. You know that even $5 helps, because 5 years of pooling your $5 donations has raised $16 million for nonprofits in Colorado. I'll never ask you to give if I don't, so I'll match the first 50 donations of $5 to get us rolling. And more than 6,000 of you have become the heart of this effort by making a monthly donation to the Word of Thanks Fund. You put in your info once, each month your donations automatically split among all the nonprofits we feature. That's added nearly $40,000 per week. Small town of Kersey is handing out big fines for speeding. Now they're abruptly changing the rules without explanation.
I just love to stay active and help people.
Hey, if you love shoveling snow, and some people do, the city of Aurora has a job for you. Next. So the town of Kersey, near Greeley, had a pretty sweet setup. Photo radar is popping drivers for $340 tickets, even though the town ordinance caps fines at $40. And then that pesky Steve Steger, our consumer investigator, started asking questions. Kersey announced a pause in the expensive tickets last month. And last night, town leaders hastily changed the rules without telling the public.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation and what's on that sheet of paper. I'll get to that in a second, but let's start a little further back.
Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
A few weeks ago, the small town of Kersey voted to pause something I'd been asking them about. See, they have a photo radar system out on Weld County Road 49 in a spot where the speed limit drops pretty quickly.
And I was like, $340? This has got to be a typo.
A typo because Kersey also has a law capping the fines for photo radar tickets at $40 in areas like this. But the town's police chief told us he could issue the bigger fines because state law regulating speed cameras was ambiguous when it comes to people clocked 25 over or more. Easy to do when the limit drops by 20 miles an hour in less than a quarter of a mile. After we asked questions about it, the Kersey Town Board, like many drivers here, slammed the brakes.
I make a motion that we approve pausing the 25 and over fees.
That meeting in mid-November was packed, but the special meeting Tuesday night was not. Just 3 of us in the audience.
When there's a big issue like what you've been reporting on, it seems like there would be interest in something like that.
Jeff Roberts is the executive director with the Colorado Freedom of Information Coalition, an expert on Colorado's open meetings law.
The idea is to make sure that the public can participate in their government.
We called him because of this.
We're going to go into an executive session for a conference with the town attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on a specific legal question.
The town board spent an hour Tuesday night behind closed doors. When they let us back in, the town attorney said this.
I've put together an ordinance that clarifies our prior ordinance from last spring.
An ordinance making changes to the town's speed camera law. But he didn't mention what changes.
I move that we approve.
Then, without any discussion, any mention to us in the audience of what that ordinance changes, they voted.
Mayor Menta?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
After the vote, the town manager handed me and the other citizen in the audience a copy of the new law.
The formation of public policy is not supposed to be done in secret.
Roberts has the same questions we do because consideration of that new ordinance wasn't on the agenda.
It raises the question of how did they deliberate about this new ordinance?
So here's what that piece of paper says. Kersey's photo radar law will now not apply to violations of 25 miles per hour over the speed limit or above. I asked the chief today if that means he's got the green light to write more big tickets. He says that is still paused, and he says that the town council hasn't addressed what to do about people who are clocked at 25 over or more. By the way, we did reach out to the town, ask them for a comment on how what they did last night complies with the open meetings law. We're still waiting to hear back.
Holy cow, Kersey needs to hire a lawologist.
Yeah.
Or something. So what happens now if somebody's going 25 over?
So it's a great question. So in some other municipalities, they have written into their ordinance, like Greeley.
Yeah.
They say if you're doing it and you get it on a photo radar ticket, $200. But Greeley told us that they don't actually do that, so that's kind of interesting. Other communities will say, we're going to assign your case to a police officer, and if we find that you were actually driving 25 over, that officer will issue you a court summons. It's criminal speeding. You get a chance to go to court, plead your case, argue against your accuser, which in this case is a machine, and you can, bring your own evidence.
Yeah.
But the question is, what happens in Kersey now?
In the meantime, I'm just going to drive around Kersey. You staggered, thank you.
Yep.
Before Aurora starts ticketing people for snowy sidewalks, the city is offering neighborly help. That's next. While most of us were waking up to snow on our sidewalks, volunteers in Aurora woke up to snow on other people's sidewalks. Our Byron Reed has that.
The first measurable snowfall can bring a range of emotions.
It varies, depends how much snow we got.
But for Rob Fetter, it's his favorite time of the year.
Oh, I love the snow. I'm originally from North Dakota.
Fetter is part of the City of Aurora's Snowbusters program that pairs community volunteers with residents to help shovel snow.
So Aurora has fines for if you don't shovel your sidewalk within 48 hours, so you just come on and do it for them.
Residents who lack resources or can't shovel snow due to circumstances like age and disabilities have their walks shoveled by volunteers like Robert, who live close by.
We just have to do the sidewalks, and then we can do the driveways too, and I usually do the driveways too because I need the exercise anyway.
Volunteers sign up online and go through a background check before clearing away the white stuff.
And they go through an onboarding process, and we give them an orientation, and then we set them up with some residents who need it near them.
Chad Angel is the volunteer program administrator for the city. He says they're in need of more volunteers.
There's always about twice as many people that need the help than we have volunteers. So if anybody out there can volunteer, we'd love to have you.
Angel says the program was started 10 years ago and has seen an increase of more people who require help.
Each year we get more and more people that need help. We also get more volunteers, but we could always use more.
For volunteers like Fetter, the program is about giving back.
And they feel good that somebody's looking out for them.
And taking away some of the stress of the season.
Put a smile on their face, see that their driveway and sidewalk are shoveled.
For Next,
I just like helping people.
I'm Byron Reed.
Back with a word about hunger in the foothills and your feedback next. Mountain Resource Center on the 285 corridor is one of 10 smaller food banks in Jefferson County that are sharing the proceeds of this week's Word of Thanks microgiving. Mountain Resource Center tells me that more than half of the people they serve these days are seniors, often people who are struggling on a fixed income. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491 to join me in giving to the nonprofit Feeding Jeffco Together effort. 10 food pantries and hunger-fighting nonprofits that have decided to work together to split our donations without overhead to buy food for our neighbors through Food Bank of the Rockies. This is the last stop on our 6-week tour to feed our neighbors, an effort that has taken us up and down the Front Range. You are coming up on $400,000 raised. You don't know how far that will go to help our neighbors. And I appreciate all of the thoughtful feedback that we got on last night's commentary about holiday unity and connection with our neighbors. BP wrote, "Get bent, weenie boy."